Yes, and you are on stage. It says live recording.
All right. We're in business. Yes. All right. Here we go. I'm going to do a brief introduction and then we'll get started with our questions. Okay.
All right. Is the ceiling fan? Should I turn that off? Is it distracting in the back of it spinning?
Let me just see if I hear it. It doesn't bother me looking at it. Will you be too hot?
No, you know what? Let me turn it on. It looks like to me it's distracting.
Okay.
I don't want people being like, look at that ceiling fan.
Okay. You good?
Yeah.
All right, we are recording, so here we go. My guest is Drew Selden. He's the co-founder of Comic-Con Revolution that'll take place in the Inland Empire at the Ontario Convention Center on May 17th and 18th. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
I'm happy to be here, Lily. Thanks for having me.
So, when did you know that Comic-Con or pop culture was going to be a career path for you?
So I actually kind of would have to say my whole life. I have always been, not so much specifically a comic fan, but I have been a pop culture person for as long as I can remember. And it wasn't always a direct path into this, but I kind of meandered towards it.
Okay, and did you study this in college, or I don't know? Do you get a degree in Comic-Con?
I think that's just a lifelong passion that gives you that degree. In which case, I would say I have a PhD, and I'm a respected member of the Mensa Society on that. But actually, I mean, my path was communications and that kind of stuff. So I did a public relations for a long time, and that's actually the path that led me to this whole industry because I was doing PR for a company that did Comic Cons. From there, I actually bounced into collectibles and video game stuff, but very much the same area. And then when I got out of that, we started this show in 2017.
Yeah, I knew there had to be some kind of communications or event planning because that is what this is. Not only is it event planning, but it's securing, it's logistics, it's marketing, it's a whole bunch of things. And having done that in my background, I know that this is a big deal. So share what goes on into the planning of such a big event.
So we are definitely, I mean, it's a year-long job. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we're 21 days away or 20 days away, whatever the actual count is, from this year's show, and we're already planning next year's show. We have the building now, so we know that's wrapped up, but that's really all we got. We are now building the rest of the show around it. When we first started, we didn't even have that much. We settled on the Inland Empire because we were looking for an area that was underserved, populated, and had a reputation for being big pop culture fans. And that's how we eventually found the Ontario Convention Center. And they've been great partners since 2017 when we started.
Right. So I know I've heard some good feedback from past people that have gone to the event. Now, it is not my thing, but doesn't mean that there aren't a ton of people out there that really love it. I don't think I'd hate it by any means, but it's not something I'd probably go to. But let's talk about it. For those that really enjoy either pop culture or comic or, it isn't just one thing. It's a lot of things. When you look at your website, there is so much going on. So let's talk about some of the events going on, the things happening this year at this year's event. Who will be there to do the meet and greet, take photos with? Tell me about it.
Sure. So, and if I forget anything and you didn't hear something that you were interested in, you can always check us out at comicconrevolution.com. But what we started doing a few years ago was bringing in not just individuals when it came to celebrities and media guests. We started going for show reunions. And this year we're very excited, and that's happens to be one of my favorite shows of all time. We're bringing in all the main leads from Smallville, which was, Superman in his high school years. The show ran for 10 years on kind of WB. So we're bringing in Tom Welling and Rosenbaum and Durant and Kristen Kruk and John Schneider, which, again, as a fanboy for myself, I can't wait. We're also bringing in all the voice actors from the cartoon Teen Titans, which should be a huge hit for everybody. We always dabble into the wrestling industry because there's a big crossover between wrestling fans and comic and pop culture fans. So we're bringing in Booker T, Mick Foley, Mickey James, Rhea. And then the name Comic-Con needs to be prevalent. So we're bringing in a ton of major name artists, authors, pencilers, colorists, recognizing the names, including Chris McCallow and Bagley and Marv Wolfman, who is the creator of one of the biggest storylines in history, Crisis on Infinite Earth. So to say that there's something for everybody, whether you're a hardcore collector, we're going to have stuff for you. Whether you're just there to meet celebrities and get autographs, whether you're there to cosplay, whether you've never been to one and you just think to yourself, you know what, I got to see what this is all about. You check it out. And again, there's a zillion guests I didn't mention, but that's just a smattering. It's kind of a tip of the iceberg.
Okay, well, I'm going to dive a little deeper on this because just the fact that Smallville cast reunion is going to take place, that is pretty big. For those that watch that, I mean, that's going to be kind of like what I go a lot to the Paley Center, Paley Fest, because it's television. But tell me about Smallville. And, here's the bigger thing for you and your colleagues that work there, getting all those people there at the same time, at the same date. I'm sure they're always glad to see each other. Well, maybe not, but for the most part, probably are glad to see each other. But tell me about Smallville and what will go on. And do you need a special ticket for that event?
So, if you buy a ticket for Comic-Con Revolution, it's going to give you access to the show floor, all the on-site programming, access to go to Artist Alley, access to purchase autographs and photo ops from all the Smallville people. We do have a separate ticketed event on Saturday night, which is called Smallville Nights. You don't need a ticket to Revolution for that, but you will need a specific ticket for Smallville Nights. This is Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor, and Tom Welling, who played Clark Kent. They host a private panel for about an hour and a half, where they reenact scenes. They bring people out of the audience to reenact scenes with them. They have giveaways and props from the show that they give out. I've never been to one, but from what I've heard, if you're a Smallville fan, it's an incredible experience. And to the point, they were so excited to all be coming together. They clearly had a tremendously positive story of filming the show, because when we got one, the question was, well, did you reach out to Kristen? Well, did you reach out to Erica? Did you reach out to John? So they really do care about each other, which is kind of cool, especially if you love the show.
That's not kind of cool. That really is cool, because there's nothing worse when you bring a cast together and it wasn't, or they didn't part on good ways, or, there's tension. And so just the fact that they all want to be with each other will make the event so much better for the fans that are going to be there, right?
Absolutely. And that's the hope. And again, that's what we learned a few years ago. We brought back in a cast from a cartoon called Avatar: The Last Airbender. We were the first show ever to have the entire cast together. And it was such an experience. And again, even them seeing each other, some of them hadn't seen each other in years. So it was that energy, it flowed. And it flowed to the fans, it flowed to us, to them, and back and forth. And really, it was just a full-on love fest. And that's what these things have become.
Now, we've talked about that, but some of the people that come to go and see the vendors, what type of vendors are there at this kind of an event?
We have a huge show floor. So again, if you're a hardcore collector and you need to get your comics priced, evaluated, graded, that you can submit them and they look for imperfections and they give you a number anywhere from 0 to 10, which increases the value. We have those kind of vendors. We've got vendors who are creating their own merchandise. We've got people selling Funko Pops. We've got people selling posters, T-shirts, and everything is really geared towards the theme of the show, beating Comic-Con and pop culture. We're not bringing in insurance companies. We're not bringing in, random things that have nothing to do with why people are there.
Ah, nice.
We even have something that's really fun where there's a cat adoption event going on from a group called Cats and Comics. And they do this at other Comic-Cons. So come here, have a great time, meet the cast of Smallville, and come home with a kid.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I cannot think of the actor's first name, but he's a black man. Last name is Hudson. Ernie. I adore him. He's been around a long time, and I love watching him in different things. He was in Frankie and Grace, and I really enjoyed him there. What is his tie into this?
So he was in Ghostbusters.
Oh, yes.
He was Winston Sedmore in Ghostbusters. He was in all the sequels. He also recently was in the reboot of Quantum Leap.
Right.
The reboot of the very popular 80s, 90s Scott Bakula show.
Mm-hmm.
He's in and around this kind of stuff a lot. And people are very excited to meet Ernie. I'm very excited to meet Ernie as well. He seems, and from what I've heard, he's an incredible guy and really loves meeting fans. And that's also something. yes, it's not a long and drawn experience. But when you get there and you get your autograph and you get your photo op, you're gonna have a moment. You're gonna have whatever, whether it's 5 seconds, 2 minutes. You're gonna create a moment for yourself that you're gonna remember forever. And that's a special thing that I see go on at the shows.
Yeah, that is really cool. That so I imagine your office looking like this. You have a board, and you have who do we bring next year? Because I'm sure you're already planning next year, as you indicated. Then maybe you throw a dart. Let's see if we can get that person for that show or this person. How do you go about in the with your colleagues planning what's going to be on in store for next year? Because my guess is, just from your energy and your passion, that you want to make it bigger and better every year because you want some of the same people to come back, and you don't want them to see the exact same thing, but you want them to be inspired by it. So how do you go about planning?
So great question, by the way, because it is something that we do in exactly the way you described it. We do have to go bigger and better each year because for the show to grow, that's what we need to do. And we look initially, is there a special anniversary of a video game, a movie, a TV series? Does someone have a 25th coming up, 30th, and we'll start looking there. And then we'll start to look at a show that has never been to the Inland Empire, that has not really been in Los Angeles, that general vicinity in a long time, and kind of break it down. And then obviously there's an element of who do I want to see? Who does my partner Mark want to see? Who does my partner James Ross want to see? So there's an element to that. We love this stuff. Our shows are really a love letter to pop culture, to the people who create these stories, who create these comics, who create these shows, who bring these video game characters to life. Because we're also, I didn't mention them before, but we have the two leads from Halo, Master Chief and Cortana. We have Nolan North who's coming, who is incredibly popular in a series of video games called Uncharted. So again, and these people put so much of their energy into creating these things that, like I said, we got to bring them out and we got to show them their due respect for it.
Right. And then you also have a lot of video, probably voiceover actors who are involved in it as well, I'm guessing. I'm guessing.
No, totally. And that's, the ones I just mentioned.
Okay.
Steve Downs and Jenny Taylor from Halo, and like I said, Nolan North from Uncharted. But we're also bringing in the whole cast of the Teen Titans cartoons, which includes Carrie Payton, who was also in Walking Dead, who includes Tara Strong, who was pretty much the voice actress in any cartoon you've ever heard of. And their partners. So like I said, there's all those special things, and when we find something that clicks, people love it. Like last year, we did a whole Star Wars thing. We brought in the cast of Star Wars Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and that was really special for everybody as well. So yeah, next year, like I said, we have some ideas, and it's related to some special anniversaries related to these pop culture titles.
I've been doing this for a long time, and I interviewed the voice of Jane from the Jetsons years ago, and I thought that was really cool, just because it was early in my career, and I remember watching the show, and so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's a great memory. And clearly, I hear the way you describe it. You had a great experience with it. And listen, we've spoken before, but I'm going to get you to come one year. And I said this to you last year. You're going to come one year, and you're like, I can't believe I haven't been coming to this.
Well, I have to tell you, my producer loves this. She went last year, and she's she takes her niece with her, so they're ready to go again this year. So you're right. I got to get out there one of these times. I really do.
You have to tell her to ask for me, and I would love to say hello, and I'd love to show them around a little bit. So.
All right, I will. I want to ask you one more thing before I let you go, and that's, will you share your Batman story? And I'm talking about the Adam West TV version, if you would.
Yes, definitely. So, and this goes to how far back I've been into pop culture. When I was born, my family lived in Queens, New York. We had a small apartment. My cradle was in my parents' bedroom, where the basically only TV was. Every afternoon, my older brother would watch the Adam West Batman series, and my cradle was in there. Every day for the first 9 months of my life, I heard what comes after the sound.
Batman.
Father with my brother, and they were doing that, and from my cradle, my parents heard me just go, Batman, and lost their minds. So my first word was Batman. That's a true story. Anyone who doesn't believe me, I will give you my father's phone number in Naples, Florida, and he will testify
You know, Drew, I really love that story, and that's why I wanted you to tell it again because I just think it's so perfect for what you're doing.
It,
Comic,
Yeah,
go
it
ahead.
is. Like I said, it's just a funny thing. When my parents first came to a show, they would tell anybody who would listen. Obviously, they were, proud. Look what my son did, and
Mm.
he's been talking about this since he was 9 months. That was my dad's dad joke. What do you mean he was talking about this since he was 9 months? And he told anybody who would listen the story.
And as a New Yorker, I'm sure he was proud to tell that story.
Oh, absolutely, 100%, 100%. He still is.
I bet. All right. The Comic Con Revolution will be May 17th and 18th at the Ontario Convention Center. And if you are a fan of this, you should be there. And if you're not a fan of this, maybe it's time to experience. And I guess I should be talking to myself as well. Drew, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lily. It was great speaking with you.
Okay, that's it.
Awesome.
So hopefully, could you hear me okay?
I heard you great.
Okay. So I'm really on my own here with this navigation. I'm going to have my producer, her name is Shireen. If it's okay and if you mean that, I'll have her, yeah.
Or when she gets there, when she checks in, tell her to have someone get in touch with Drew.
Okay.
I'd love to obviously say hello. I'd love to make sure her niece has a good time and they get to see it and do everything they want to do.
All right. Real good. Thank you, Drew. I really appreciate it.
Take care, Lily. It was great speaking.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.